From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
I just think my children and your children will be much better off and much more successful getting married and raising a family. And I don't want them to be brainwashed into thinking that homosexuality is an equally valid or successful option. It isn't.
As New York Republican gubernatorial candidate Carl Paladino targets gay men and lesbians, we'll speak with the nation's Richard Kim about the major issues facing the gay rights movement in America today, from yesterday's decision by a federal judge to end the military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, to the surge in gay teen suicide. Then how the Obama administration forced a federal judge to rewrite a published ruling about a prisoner at Guantanamo. And we'll look at Nueva York, a new museum exhibit documenting the role Latinos have played in shaping New York City over the past 3 centuries.
The axis of cultural power is swinging away from San Juan and Miami and Rio and Mexico City and toward the north, where the United States is going to take its place as one of the largest Spanish-speaking countries on earth.
All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The first of the 33 trapped Chilean miners have been rescued after over 2 months buried deep underground. One by one, the miners are being pulled in a rescue capsule from over 2,000 feet beneath the collapsed copper mine in the Atacama Desert. They'd been expected to remain trapped until Christmas, but the drilling of a rescue tunnel was completed last weekend. Earlier today, the second miner to be rescued, Mario Sepulveda, emerged from the rescue shaft and jokingly tried to give the Chilean president, Sebastián Piñera, some rocks he brought up from the mine as a souvenir. In a news conference, Sepulveda urged the media not to treat the miners as celebrities.
Los profesionales que hacen todo esto, publicidad.
The professionals that do all this publicity in television, the only personal thing I ask is for you not to treat us as artists or journalists. I want you to continue to treat me like Mario Antonio Sepulveda, a worker, a miner.
Trabajador, el minero.
The last of the miners are expected to emerge late on Thursday. A federal judge has ordered the U.S. military to stop enforcing the 17-year-old Don't Ask, Don't Tell law that bars openly gay men and women from serving in the armed forces. On Tuesday, Judge Virginia Phillips of Federal District Court for the Central District of California issued an injunction 1 month after ruling that Don't Ask, Don't Tell is unconstitutional. The ruling bans enforcement of the law and orders the military to immediately suspend any investigations or discharge proceedings. We'll have more on this story after headlines. The Obama administration, meanwhile, has appealed a federal judge's ruling preventing the government from enforcing the 1996 Defense of Marriage Act, which denies federal recognition of gay marriage. The White House says it opposes the law, but is obligated to defend federal statutes when challenged in court. The Obama administration's lifted its temporary ban on deepwater oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. The ban was imposed in May, shortly after the Deepwater Horizon explosion caused one of the worst environmental crises in U.S. history. On Tuesday, Interior Secretary Ken Salazar said operators of the 36 rigs halted by the ban can apply to resume deepwater drilling before the end of the year. In a conference call to reporters, Salazar said the Gulf is open for business.
The policy position that we're articulating today is that we are open for business. So I expect we will see a resumption of deepwater drilling very soon. I can't tell you the exact date when it will happen, but it will happen soon.
The ban was due to expire at the end of November. Environmental groups had urged the administration to continue the ban and expand it to include shallow water drilling as well. In a statement, the watchdog group Public Citizen called lifting the ban, quote, misguided and reckless, adding, "We still have no way to address a catastrophic blowout in deep water without technology in hand to stop millions of gallons of oil from spewing from the bottom of the ocean. We're simply gambling with our environment." In related news, Democratic Senator Mary Landrieu of Louisiana says she will continue to block the nomination of Jack Lew to run the Office of Management and Budget until drilling permits are granted. Landrieu used a senatorial privilege last month to place a hold on Lew's nomination until the drilling ban is removed. Attorneys general from dozens of states are announcing a joint investigation today into alleged fraud by the nation's biggest lenders and forcing thousands of people out of their homes. The probe will center around allegations mortgage companies, including Bank of America, J.P. Morgan Chase, and Ally Financial, made misleading or fraudulent statements and signed off on documents without proper review to approve foreclosures. Also Tuesday, Ally Financial announced its widened and independent audit of foreclosure practices at its GMAC mortgage unit to all 50 states. Ally and J.P. Morgan Chase have suspended foreclosures in 23 states, while Bank of America has suspended them in all 50 states. Last week, Ohio filed a lawsuit accusing Ally of fraud and approving hundreds of foreclosures. The Obama administration, meanwhile, has renewed its opposition to a nationwide moratorium. On Tuesday, White House Press Secretary Robert Gibbs said a foreclosure freeze could cause, quote, broader harm to the housing market and to the housing recovery. The developments come amidst emerging details of the lender's practices. On Tuesday, a Florida attorney representing hundreds of homeowners released depositions of bank employees describing the frenzy to approve foreclosures on a mass scale. The lawyer, Peter Tickton, says he deposed 150 workers who say they signed foreclosure affidavits without looking at them. Some of the employees had no experience and received no training after previously working as hairstylists. Walmart floor workers, and assembly line employees. A new congressional study says the number of people denied medical coverage because of pre-existing conditions has grown by nearly half. According to the House Energy and Commerce Committee, over the last 3 years, the 4 top for-profit insurers, Aetna, Humana, United Health Group, and WellPoint, have denied coverage to 49% more people because of medical history. Over 257,000 people were denied last year, compared to 172,000 in 2007. All 4 companies followed a policy of considering pregnancy a pre-existing condition, leading to an automatic denial of coverage. A provision of the health care law barring denial of coverage to adults based on medical history doesn't take effect until 2014. Opening statements have begun in the case of Ahmed Khalfan Galani, the first Guantanamo detainee to face a civilian trial. Galani appeared in a New York courtroom Tuesday on charges he was involved in the 1998 U.S. Embassy bombings in Tanzania and Kenya, which killed 224 people. Laura Pitter said the trial of a Guantanamo prisoner in a civilian court instead of by military commission is long overdue.
It's better than the commissions because the commissions have an enormous number of legal challenges ahead of it. There's no rules really of evidence. Everything's ad hoc and made up as they go along. And as a result, it is subject to an enormous number of legal challenges. And the victims deserve justice.
Laura Pitter is with Human Rights Watch. We'll have more Guantanamo news later in the broadcast. The Army major charged in the killings of 13 people at Fort Hood, Texas last year appeared in a military court Tuesday to seek a delay in his murder trial. Major Nidal Malik Hassan faces the death penalty if convicted. Fort Hood spokesperson Thomas Rhinelander said Nidal's attorneys want to delay the trial over the Army's refusal to release documents related to the case.
During today's Article 32 hearing, the defense asked for a reconsideration of previous motion for closure. The investigating officer denied the motion. The defendant moved for a continuance until November 8th. The investigating officer gave the defense until midnight tonight to file a brief in support of its motion for continuance.
The Supreme Court has rejected a case brought by the American Civil Liberties Union on behalf of 2 Denver residents who were ejected from a speech by President Bush in 2005. Leslie Weiss and Alex Young were removed before Bush took the stage after White House staffers noticed a bumper sticker on their car that said, "No blood for oil." The ACLU had sued the White House for infringing on the pair's constitutional rights, but the case was thrown out in 2008. In a statement, the ACLU said, quote, "The notion that the government can exclude anyone it chooses from an event just because their point of view is at odds with that of the president is unconstitutional and un-American. We're confident that the wrong done to Leslie Weiss and Alex Young will one day be righted," they said.